welcome to Catch Outdoors. I'm your host, Captain Rob Modies. This podcast is about living and playing in the Florida Keys. I cover my favorite sport, fishing, but also all the many things to see and do down here in the islands. Thank you so much for tuning in, and now it's time to kick back and relax with me in the Keys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be when you're listening. This is, well, what is it here? It's Monday afternoon. Yeah. Trying to get this in before the noise starts. There's always lots of things going on in the neighborhood after about 3 o'clock, so we'll see. Catch Outdoors brought to you by Spotify. Lots and lots of other streaming podcasts out there, so enjoy. Okay, first, right off the bat, big news and a change in the schedule for the podcast. I'll be putting this on the Facebook page and on the internet, on the catchoutdoors.com, on the website. Very important, okay? The release date for the podcast will now be on Thursdays at the usual 5 a.m. The first one will be on Thursday, February the 6th. So this coming Tuesday, there won't be one. Excuse me. So I get a week off. Yay. That'll be the first in 4 years, or 4 seasons, I should say. I'm in season 4 now. So, but anyway, so big change. Thursdays, 5 a.m. will be the release date from here on out, starting on February the 6th. So there's going to be a gap next week. Again, there won't be a podcast on Tuesday. It'll move to Thursday. Just a couple of days. Come on, you can hang in there. And I will post this again on Catch Outdoors and other places so you can see it. And I'll also mention it in the Facebook page this week. Let's see. The reason for this, let me kind of sketch this out for you a little bit. The reason for this is better timing of the upcoming weekend for information, which is especially important here in the Keys. And that's been mentioned and asked by other people that are fairly regular listeners in the Keys area. They're like, you're off by a day or two, which is true. You start on Tuesday, you're way out from the weekend, and you've missed what just happened. Unless I happen to think of it on the Tuesday before. This makes things far less complicated just by moving it a couple of days in the direction. Everything down here happens Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, that's pretty much how it works. And the rest of the week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is quiet time. I mean, quite literally, this is the pool time for people. You don't see a lot of recreation stuff. You don't see a lot of outdoor events, concerts, that kind of stuff. I mean, there'll be some, but not very many. And so I got to thinking about it. I was thinking about this a couple of months ago, actually, and then just decided the other day I'm going to do this, So it'll be on Thursdays. And that way, hopefully I'll get a fishing trip in ahead of time. Like, for example, today there's no fishing to talk about because it was cold and windy for the entire week. But today's already improved vastly. Tomorrow and Wednesday both look good. So that's what I'll try to do. And you won't be able to hear that until weeks and weeks away. No, that's not true. Actually, you would hear about it anyway. But so basically, I'm going to go fish tomorrow. That's the game plan. And fish on Wednesday. I might do both days. I haven't decided what to do yet. But I can report on that a little better on a Thursday for obvious reasons. I'll tell you what just happened. And that way you get it, up bright and early and timely. Things like tides and moon and all that stuff just kind of comes into play better because, again, we play on the weekend. Well, I play all the time, but I'm retired. But most of the events happen in the weekends here. Let's see what else. I got all kinds of notes today, boy. Let's see. Oh, the title for this week's episode, I guess I should tell you that. Come on, summer, for obvious reasons. I'll never again complain about the heat of summer. Well, now wait a minute now. Might do a little complaining around October, especially if it gets into late October against November, like it did this year. Man, that heat hung on. But honestly, I think I'd rather be toasty warm and even hot than cold. This was terrible. That's all I got to say. Well, no, I got more to say. Always do. The weather just we got cold, and then we got a tiny little reprieve where it bounced back up to 60, 61, and then it went way down into close to 50, 51 here in Key Largo. It snowed up in the Panhandle. I'm sure everybody's aware of that. The West Coast, where most of my friends live in the Tampa Bay South area into Fort Myers, it was really cold. It was in the 40s for several days. I got real worried about the snook population over there. I haven't heard anything bad yet, but I know if it had stayed another day in those low temperatures, it could have been a real catastrophe. But over here, it was like, get your jeans out, get your socks on, put on a long sleeve tee, and then I use an overshirt, like a non hoodie, a sweatshirt without a hood. And you get tired. I get tired of dressing like that. People in the Keys get tired of dressing. We don't dress that way. We have shorts and a t-shirt and a pair of flip-flops. And some people wear like a Croc or an open shoe of some sort. But we don't layer up ever. Not even to go swimming. I mean, you might put on a lightweight diving suit, like a wetsuit, but nothing serious. And it just went on, and I broke down, turned the heat on. It's the first time I've turned the heat on in 2 years. And I set it for 70, which to some of you I don't know if that sounds high to people or not, but it was enough to take the chill off the house. But the biggest problem with Florida houses is we have tile floors throughout. Even our stairs are tiled. And once those bad boys get cold, they're like an ice cube. And it takes them a long time to thaw. So you get a nice break like a couple of days ago. The sun came back out for the first time in probably 5 or 6 days, burned off the overcast, the foggy stuff was gone. It was like, oh, thank you, Lord. And but unfortunately for yesterday, day before yesterday and today, the floor is still cold. And so it chills the house down more than you can imagine. It's really pretty weird, actually. But yes, it got cold here. 51, I think, was the lowest I saw. Now in the middle 40s in some place, not here, middle 40s just north of us, Homestead, the Miami area, Fort Lauderdale. The iguanas falling out of the trees type cold. If you haven't heard about that, when it gets really, really chilly, the invasive iguanas we have do not do well in cold weather. They be cold-blooded, and they live in the trees, and they're bad. I really despise them. That's they eat my orchids, and that's why I despise them. But they get cold, and they get stunned. They don't die. They get stunned. They fall out of the trees, and I mean they'll hit you. They put a falling iguana warning up in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. It didn't get that bad here, but they'll drop on the ground. The funniest story I saw, there was a couple and a child, I think this was in Miami, and they felt sorry, but it was like, oh my God, it's almost dead, and they brought it in the house. And needless to say, it thawed, and it was quite entertaining. Can you imagine? Those of you that know iguanas, they scoot, baby. They're one of the fastest freaking lizards you've ever seen in your life. And especially a big one can really haul butt. And so it was really funny, just the thought of what that must have looked like in somebody's house. And I didn't hear the end of the story. I'm sure somebody caught it and somebody got it out of the house, or they opened the door and it ran out, whatever. But learning curve. That's pretty much what that was. So anyway, like I said, I turned the heat on. We got a big old blanket out that I saved. Honestly, it's almost never been used. It's one of those really nice plush velour fuzzy blankets. We put that on the bed. Jackson, the cat, he was thrilled. He thought that was the best thing that's ever happened in the house. Balled up in it and hid underneath it to take naps. That tells you it's cold when the cat disappears. So, and here's the other worst part. I have a very limited amount of warm clothes. So I did two loads of laundry within 3 days of each other, because I don't have hardly anything to wear. I know. I'm just, oh, my bleeding. No, he said, you guys that live up north, I don't know how you do it. And I have friends, good friends up there. One of my best friends lives in Louisville, and then I was teasing and messing with him online, and I said, I really and truly don't get it. You guys got to do this now all the way to the end of April, because in Louisville, the Kentucky Derby is the first Saturday in May. And even then, I have been to the first Saturday in May where we had sleet when I lived up there. So I don't see how anybody can go through. February is the worst. I mean, February is the pits. And then you got March, it starts to get better. April, you see some blooms and the crocuses come up out of the ground. And there'll be some daffodils, the spring flowers will pop. And you get all, yeah, and then it snows on you. No, I can't. And we complain about having 2 weeks of winter. So anyway, no, I didn't go fishing. You'd have to be kidding to even think that I would. And on that note, I feel real sorry for the captains that did have to go. Because you're going to get customers from way up north, and they don't understand why you're not going out. They'll show up at the boat in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and it's 55 degrees. Tides this week are getting stronger. Looks like the new moon is on Thursday, which is perfect timing for me to get back on the water. Please let me get out there. Hands together praying. Lows in the morning, highs in the afternoon on the tides, which are just perfect. I love a low to rising tide in the back. When that water starts pushing through, it's been good. We haven't had any rain, so there won't be a push of water from the Everglades down into my backcountry spot. So it'll be primarily tide related. Janelle and I went over and had a lunch at the Lorelei a couple of days ago, and I think it was on Sunday. Yeah, I can't remember. And the water in the basin was milky. Normally when you walk into the Lorelei, there's a big basin there that you can look down and see the occasional manatee or a tarpon come through, something really cool. You couldn't even see the bottom. So hopefully within a couple more days of no wind and no rain, that will slowly tide out, as we call it. The tides carry the milk away, and of course some of it settles, but man, it was howling here. I ain't kidding you. So the tides look really good, and I always love fishing around new moon. For some reason, personally, I like new moon better than the full. There's, in my mind, there's a reason. The new moon doesn't create any midnight light, and so the fish don't have a chance to really forage and go crashing through stuff with no moonlight. Whereas the new moon, of course, provides it can be bright enough to see what you're doing outside when the full moon's up down here. We don't have any ambient light, and normally if there's no clouds and a lack of humidity, which of course that's the winter, it's going to be just beautiful at night. You can see everything. So I like the new moon. I like it when because it stays dark. So wish me luck. Send me good luck. Let's see what else is on the red tide report. For the past week, for the waters around the Florida Keys, none was observed. However, once again, a series of smaller, more diffuse patches were observed approximately 20 miles off of Monroe County and 13 miles north of the Florida Keys. We'll continue to track this, and I will continue to track this, as the report says. They're getting more cloud-free satellite data coming in now that the storms blew over, so they'll probably get a better look at it. But so far, it's well north in the Gulf of Mexico. Wanted to pass along some Key West music events and upcoming concerts for February. So are you ready? Here we go. At the Key West Amphitheater, we have the Gypsy Kings on February the 8th. If you haven't heard them, you should go. They're really good. Willie Nelson and Family on February the 17th. He's back. He comes every year now. Beach Boys on February the 28th. And Brett Young on March 8th. I have to confess, I knew Brett Young's name. I didn't know much about what he does, so I went online and listened to some of the short music takes on iTunes, and I was like, oh, okay, country music sounds good, like his song, so check it out. That's on March 8th. And I'll tell you what, when things happen here at the amphitheater, that's a small outdoor theater. And in the winter, it's beautiful. The weather is just right for going out in the evening, and they usually set up all kinds of booths to buy things, not just Brett's stuff, but all kinds of things. And it's a lot of fun. We've gone to several shows there, and it's really a great venue. There was no garden party at Billy's house this past week. One of the performers got sick. Bummer. However, there are going to be two this time around. There's one tonight on Monday, and then there's one tomorrow night on Tuesday, and I'll report later on that. On Thursday, a week away, I'll let you know what in the heck happened there. So that ought to be interesting. And I'll bring up the ones. We'll have several to talk about. Actually, he's doing back-to-backs because he had a performer that he forgot to put on the list, which is bad because this guy, I think he and now I can't remember his name. I drove it right out of my head. Anyway, he's a friend, and so he said, "I'm going to add a day," and I'm like, "Well, go for it," because we didn't do anything last week. And it's gotten to the point now where the garden parties are so much fun. We've got a few more people that have been coming, that have been invited, and it's just a good social event. And for us, it is literally right down the street. It's not even 2 miles from our house. So, but I'll include the reviews later for you and talk about who they were and what they did. Here's a couple of events coming up outside of music. Let's see here. Where's my list? Here we go. Saltwater Sportsman Seminar Series returns to Islamorada on Saturday, February the 8th. Starts at 9 in the morning, runs till 3 in the afternoon. There's an after-party get-together for ticket holders around 5 or 6 p.m. at the Worldwide Sportsman Bass Pro in Islamorada. Lots of great information. It's funny, a little history lesson way back in 90-something. I'm going to guess around 97, 96, 97, 98. Janelle and I went to one in Miami. And so that was, almost 30 years ago. And it was great. I had, we still, Janelle still has the notepad where she wrote down notes about fishing in the air because we knew nothing about it. I mean, I can tell you all about West Coast fishing. I didn't know squat about fishing over here back then. And I'm still learning. So that was kind of the cool thing. And then eventually I was a part of it. I was a presenter, a seminar instructor, whatever you want to call it, for 2 or 3 in the Fort Myers area. Oh, and I think I did one. I did one over in near West Palm Beach. Anyway, you always learn something new. Also, what's really great is you cannot beat the bucket, as they call it. He gives everybody that comes in one of those nice big white buckets full of boating stuff. So it's not only like a lure or two or things like that, but it's full of all the sponsors that he has for boat cleaners and de-scummers and vinyl washing and all that. I'm like, yeah, baby. You go to any store and price this stuff, and it makes the entry. I think this year the entry was $60. You can spend that on 2 jars of stuff for boat. Boat stuff's ridiculous. You know that. So anyway, the goodie bucket that he hands out is really a great deal. Not quite, is it 2? Yeah, 2 weeks later. Not quite 2 weeks. The CCA banquet comes to Bud and Mary's Marina on the 20th. That's down in Islamorada. Tickets are now available online. Just look for CCA Florida Keys Group. We're going. We're going to that one too. Fun night with lots of goodies being auctioned for a very good cause. I've been a long-time supporter of CCA, all the way back to Fort Myers and well into Fort Myers. It's a long time. It's fun to go and just hubbub because it's all like-minded. I mean, you got a whole mess of crazed fisher folks in there, and it's really great. Last but not least, the Bonefish Tarpon Trust Circle of Honor event will be held at the Chica Lodge in Islamorada on April 10th. This one's a dressy event. Unless you're a fishing guide. It usually sells out pretty quickly. So I thought I'd add it early to this. So again, that's April 10th. And that's quite a great dinner, cocktail hour. I mean, really a very, very formalish thing for fishing folks, but I really enjoy going. So I'm looking forward to that. Also see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. Also coming, this is an afternote. Also coming soon is one of my favorite events in the Keys. It's what used to be called the Gigantic Nautical Flea Market. It's now just called the Gigantic Nautical Market. because the flea market denotes major bargains of used gear. People trying to get rid of stuff out of the back of us stores. I mean, we got lots of nautical flea markets around, so you all probably know what I'm talking about. This one will be. We went. I think it was last year. I can't remember if I went last year or not. It's huge. I mean, this thing is gigantic, and it has all kinds of vendors with new stuff. There are some flea markety type tents with all kinds of used stuff. I mean, you get boat props and steering wheels and things like that. But ultimately, it's a great place to go shopping for bargains, fishing rods, reels, all kinds of lines and leader, and then talk to manufacturers. Lots of manufacturers and dealers are there. They also have boats, also bring boats in. Great place to get in trouble. Dates this year are February 22nd and 23rd, so it's right around the corner at Founders Park in Islamorada. So I said, the thing is gigantic. Yeah, just like it says. You can easily spend a full day there checking out everything that's offered. Easily. That's how big it is. It's not one of those walk in, walk out kind of things. Go early if you can. Early or late. Late in the day or very, very early in the day. Let's see. The hours on Saturday are 8 to 5. And on Sunday, 9 to 3. You can also go to Coral Shores High School and catch a shuttle bus if the parking gets difficult, and it can get difficult. The times we've been there, we've walked in from probably close to half a mile away. So you find parking, you just get out of the truck and walk. It's good for you. They ask for a $5 donation on entry. That's to support local youth scholarships here in the area, and they give out quite a few of them. So donate your $5. By the way, it's cash only. They don't take charges for the donation. It's a cash only donation. Fishing. I wish I could give you an on-water report, but as I've already said, this was no way I was going out in that freezing cold and that wind. Either way, mostly the freezing cold. I probably could have tolerated a 15-mile-an-hour wind, but when you add that to 50 degrees, no, there's no way. Oh, okay, it wasn't freezing cold. But pretty damn close by Key standards. Everybody disappeared. It was kind of funny, man. You could look around and think, where all of, we didn't have any motorcycle groups come down. That's one of the things you always hear on the weekend. There'll be, I don't know, a jillion Harleys coming through, going to whatever location they're going to. Those aren't public, so I can't tell you what they were, but I just know that at times we get hundreds of them. A lot of them are doing the Key West thing. Some go to Marathon, and they almost always stop across the street at the Caribbean Club. That's like the known motorcycle hangout when you come south. And there's plenty of parking for the motorcycles. There is no food there. It's a beer stop for them. And they all jump back on and off they go. So there's this constant low rumble, which, by the way, you get used to. In the meantime, though, I did hear a few reports from the brave souls that had charters, like I said, that didn't cancel. Those northern guests, man, they can be hard, man. When the temps are in the lower 50s and the wind is blowing, they used to show up at the dock in shorts and T-shirts every time. We would all look at them in wonder. It's like, oh my gosh, and I'm sure the same thing happens here. And you've been planning a fishing trip for months up north, and you finally get down here and the wind blows and it gets cooler. That don't matter to them. They're going. So I have a great deal of sympathy for our captains here. I know you all work hard at it. Been there, done that. Let's see. Anyhow, since the wind was out of the north, the bigger boats were trolling and bottom fishing in the Atlantic on the nearby Patries, right up against as close to land as you could get. So in other words, the wind was coming right down out of the north. And down here where we live, that means you just go to the other side of the island. You go away from the base, you go to the Atlantic side, so you get a little protection from the island itself. Now, it ain't much protection because we're not a whole big old mountain over sea level or anything, just trees and some buildings. But you can get out there on the patch reefs and do some fishing. It may not be terribly comfortable, but you'll get the job done. And they did. They got a bunch of yellowtail. They got some yellow jacks, some not mangrove snapper, mutton snapper. They did pretty good. The trolling was kind of a bust. The things I read about trolling, most people, they were not doing real well. And that's probably because the fish were slowed down a little bit by the lower water temperatures. But as far as dropping baits down at the bottom, they all did pretty good. You can get your fill of grunts. I'm not kidding. Listen, don't malign the grunt. They're everywhere. They bite like crazy on shrimp or most any cut bait for that matter. And they're good eating. They're delicious. If you haven't had it, try it. It's a great standby when you ain't catching nothing else. Heck, me, I can't wait to get on the water. Come on. Now, just talking about it makes me want to go. While on the fishing subject, I want to talk a little bit about reels, specifically spinning reels. I want to talk about my recent experiences that I've had. For quite a while now, about 8 years or so, I have been using the Quantum Smoke 3000. When I was a guide, I used the Quantum Cabos, the big silvery, heavy stainless steel reels, almost impossible to kill. Great for big snook and reds, great for tarpon, So after my little incident with cancer, my back weakened and my ability to stand and pull it's a whole different ballgame. But anyway, holding a rod with a great big old reel on it is not my cup of tea. So I was looking for something lightweight, and that's where the Quantum Smoke came in. Great reel, attractive. It's got the hazy blue stuff on it. It's kind of pretty, but main thing about it was very lightweight in makeup and a great drag on it. And I used the 3000, which is a smaller reel, sort of like a 4 or 5000, which means you got to start the motor if something takes off. You may have to go chase something without getting spooled, but it's been really great. My only complaint about it was the rapid deterioration that the overall reel has physically. It still works mechanically, but it gets to looking a little like you don't care about your material, about your reels. Your tools, if you will. But and then eventually the drag clicker stops clicking. You can clean it all you want. You can mess with it, but for some reason you can't really. It's just something that bugs me. It's not that it doesn't work. It's supposed to make a sound, So not too long ago, I decided to try something new. So I picked up a couple of Daiwa Ballistics. Daiwa was another reel that I used a lot as a guide, and I was always really happy with the Daiwa product. And the Ballistic MQ4000. So it's a little bit bigger, still lightweight. This one's red on black, so it's got the cute little red racing stripes on it. One thing I really liked about it was the ability to change the handle knob out. They made custom knobs, and so instead of that little flat knob that most of them come with, you could put on a ball knob on the end, which fit into your hand, and I like that quite a bit. The more you fish, the more you will like it. They were more rugged than the Quantum. They've held up a little better physically. Great drag. I heard one person complain a little bit about the finish on the scuff, the end of the reel, the back cap that you can take off to access the gears for lubrication. And I think that's just because they were setting it down on hard deck or something. I always put mine in a holder, and I haven't had a problem with that. They're about 2 years old now. And I like them. I like them quite a bit. But then recently I picked up another reel that I kept hearing an awful lot about. Word spreads, and I actually heard about this one from my nephew through his daddy, who's my brother, and he's a fishing addict. Well, both of them, Peter and my nephew are, Alex. And funny how that runs in the family. Anyhow, the reel's made by Florida Fishing Products. Now, I've known Florida Fishing Products. It's been around for quite a while now. It's a local thing. I'll give you a tiny bit of history. Basically, it's a couple of guys who were worried about the condition of water and the quality of the water and water quality. They decided to form a company to help donate money back. And they were working on coming up with a product, and they came up with a fishing reel. You go online and read all about it. It's fascinating. Again, it's Florida Fishing Products. And they have since graduated to 4 reels. They started with 1, and now they've got 4. And one of them that I'd heard about was called the Salos, S-A-L-O-S. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Salos or Salos. And the littler one's a 3000. So I'm going backwards now, back to my first reel in size. Lightweight, very attractive little reels, silver. I mean, they look nice. Great drag. Oh my gosh. I used it for the first time a few weeks ago when I went out, and really, got a nice big jack during that run. I thought, well, this little reel did great. And one thing it has that I really, really enjoy is a drag knob that when you turn it, you have to turn it a little more to get something to happen. I hate drag controls on the reel when you turn them left or right a little bit, clockwise, counterclockwise. It happens like right away, and it'll tighten down too much, and bang, off goes the fish, and you snap it off, and that's so irritating. And there are a lot of reels like that out there. You have to be really cautious and aware of that when you're messing with it. So I like a reel that's got a lot of turn, like almost halfway around before it really starts to grab. And that's what these do. So far, so good. I've only fished with it for like one, maybe 2 trips before the weather went to hell. But I'll let you know what's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to be on the boat this time. We'll take it out and see how it does. And I should mention, it costs less than most. A lot of these reels I'm talking about are right at $200. I mean, in my opinion, you spend the money, you get the good product. So the $99 is fine if you want to start out with that, but you're going to replace the $99 reel, especially in salt water. But if you get up to $179, $189, $199, you're going to keep it for quite a while. The overall manufacture of the reel is better, and typically the drag system is better too. This one, if I'm not mistaken, was probably around $150, so I was kind of surprised. And small manufacturer trying to make it out there. Maybe that's the reason. But anyway, give them a try. Okay, what's next? Oh, now it's time for useless information.
And now, from the original book of useless information.
You are a reject! You are useless! You can get a job down here cleaning toilets!
Here's your host, Captain Rob Modies.
Well, he swears up and down he's useless, but
he might be all right eventually, but completely useless.
With useless information.
And here we go. I'm sure it's not as useless as I think it is. I keep getting notes back. It's like, well, that was pretty good. So anyway, it's from the book though, damn it. This one comes from the chapter Under the Sea. There are more species of fish than mammals, reptiles, and birds combined. Oh boy. More species of fish live in a single tributary of the Amazon River than in all the rivers in North America combined. The flounder swims sideways. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. It's kind of bizarre. Walking catfish of Florida can stray out of the water for 80 days. I did not know that. I've seen them after big storms, but I had no long that they could live that long. So there you go. Until next week. Before I go, some final words. But before I do the final words part, don't forget the next podcast is going to be on February the 6th, Thursday. Same place, same time, 5 a.m. I've received a few questions about my music, mostly how come I haven't released anything new in the past few months. I went back and looked and went, wow, they're right. It has been a few months. Well, my producer, Billy Davidson, my mixologist, Steve, who mixes down my recordings, and all the additional talent that play on my songs are real busy right now. They just happen to play out, and seasons upon us down this way. And even the guys up north have got recording contract stuff that they're also working on. So it's coming. Don't worry. The making of a good song, though, requires a neighborhood of folks. And I'm very lucky to have just that. As a matter of fact, a saxophone part that we have been looking for someone on one of my songs on is going to be played by the sax player for Joe Bonamassa's band. See? Still in the works, but it looks like it's a go sometime this week. I'm always amazed at the musicians that Billy knows, and quite a few of them have played on my songs already, so, and have histories like that. And I really enjoy having that talent play my music. It's fantastic. I love music and writing songs. It's a dream of mine that's come true. There are 2 that'll be out shortly. I say that carefully. You'll notice shortly. Another one is in the process of the basic studio recording stuff. I've been writing about one a week at this point. Even more really during this cold snap. That set me down with a guitar right off the bat. I'm pretty proud of several of them. I learned a lot from Billy, and while he can be really tough when critiquing a song, I also like that. It makes me work harder on each and every one as we come through there and go to them. So stand by, please. Go to iTunes and listen to what's already out there. I would appreciate that. There's a mess of songs, and we'll get them out there. Don't worry. I can't wait to give you the next two. I'm really, really proud of both of the ones we've got. The one the saxophone's going on is really decent. I'm very proud of it. Take care, and I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed listening, please tell a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The Facebook page is Catchy Outdoors, website's catchyoutdoors.com, where you can find all the previous podcasts and news about my books and music. Until next time, get outdoors and enjoy.